to demonstrate how to do a field wireable connection here. And so, of course, we're going to, and the field wireable is from Enphase, and we have a male and a female. Oh, it's right here. Okay. And then basically what this is for is to go from one array to the next, and of course it's going to be the same branch circuit, but the advantage to doing this field wireable situation is so that you don't need to drop another junction box, okay, which of course is going to save money. And so you're going to ground your conduit on both ends the way that we normally do, and then you'll do a window cut here, okay, and then of course attach it to the lane lug on the grounding bushing. And then you can actually just take the green wire here, it's fine. I mean, you could theoretically use bare copper with this process as well if you want to, but you got to run the bare copper through the piece of conduit the same way you run this wire here that I believe we get rolls of this from, and yeah, this is actually Enphase wire. It says Enphase Energy right on it.
I think we saw it in our warehouse.
Oh, you guys actually have that? Okay, okay. And then, so we're going to, grounding of course is always the first step. We can actually land this on the rail so that it's continuous ground. And then this guy here, what we need to do is we need to strip the end. And of course we're going to connect two together. One array over here again, and then the other array over there. And so we use a, this is a Romex stripper actually. And so we need to, of course, strip this in order to get these plugs and connectors on. And this is 12, so we use 12. And also what we did, just FYI, is we kind of took a little grinder and ground the very center here, because when you use Romex has a ground in it. And we don't want to cut these wires that are internal in here. If you're careful, you can do it with a knife, but that can be a little bit dangerous. So anyways, carefully press on here. Stripping the wire is really the hardest part. Once we get the wire stripped properly. Now, see what happens? If you're not careful, you're going to cut right into the wire. And so we don't want that. We've got to be super careful with it. And I may just end up doing it with a knife. This thing doesn't make me happy. Let me try it again. Alright, get in there.
You cut in.
I think cut into the end. Yeah. Here, I got a better technique. Take your knife and run it down it in between the two wires, away from you, of course. Never try to do your window cuts or anything like that towards yourself. And let's see if we can open it up. If we get it open, we can separate the wires internally. There we go. That actually works better. Okay. Strip it a little bit more. Good. Alright. Then you can cut all this off here. Okay. And male and female. Make sure that we do not mix up the male and female kits.
Oh, I remember doing that.
That's critical. So all right, so
this goes with this.
That goes with that. Yeah. This male. This is male. That's perfect. Okay, so we'll save that for the other side. We'll use this one right now. All right. Open this. Don't lose these on the roof. They have a tendency to try to roll away from you, especially when you're at an angle. This right here is just going to get pushed in here. I mean, you can go ahead and you can put this thing on if you want to before you even strip it, and that might be a better approach. But it just pushes on, and then it'll lock down as you tighten it right there. And then of course this thing, we put these two guys on here, and we're going to push them into there. That's the process. So we just need to strip these, and we need to strip off enough right there to just get in here. It's not a ton that we need to strip off, so it's a little less than a ½ inch actually. Right there. Okay, that goes in there very nice. And then we're going to use our MC4 crimper. Okay, and we're going to choose the appropriate size here.
You can't just use any crimper?
If your MC4 crimpers are fantastic, and I'll show you why, because they actually take these wings here and they fold them inward, and it's really a permanent connection. You theoretically could use another crimper if you're in a pinch, but you really, it's much better to actually use the MC4 crimper, because I think we all have them, and it's the best approach with these things. Here, and put it in the right socket here. All right. The way I do it is I go ahead and just set it in there lightly first, stick the wire in, and this is probably the best approach to do a good crimp and do it easy. And of course you squeeze it, and then the wings fold over, and then you see what happened. It slipped right out, right? It's not crimped all the way. So let's see if I can salvage this one, and it looks like I can. Okay. I chose the wrong one. I chose the middle one. We got to use the smallest one here. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that. And that should be tight enough now. Yeah, good. Okay. Next, same thing. Put the crimp in the little die area on here. Okay. Just before, yeah, this is good to see right there. Stick the wire in. If you need to roll the strands up to tighten them up, you can certainly do that as well. And of course, boom. So MC4 crimping really isn't that difficult if you have this tool. And you can see what it's done. It has rolled the wings over onto the copper, and then of course you always do the tug test, and it's solid. Okay. Then it doesn't matter. This is again the female. Both of these just go right in here. The other side is going to be in the male, and the male plugs into the female hole on these particular crimps.
Are you putting it in backwards?
No, it goes right in, and it should click. You got. That's the secret. Is you got to hear it click. Okay.
Oh, but the rubber band's on that side, right?
Oh, am I going the wrong way? Yes. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you're right. You are right, Tony. You got it. All right, and you're gonna hear it click. Did we hear it click? Of course not. Right? But make sure they're both in there good, and then do the tug test. We've had these on the roof before, and it hasn't locked in there all the way, and it's pulled out, and there wasn't a good connection, and we're wondering why half the array is not working. So it's really critical to crimp it properly and get it to lock in there. And of course, always do the tug test. That'll save you. All right, come over here. Push this over. We can undo this. It'll make it a little easier. And then lock it in. This thing goes back right in here. Like that. And then this thing goes on here solid. You can do the next one, Tony. And tighten it all the way. That ain't going anywhere. They're solid in there. You can see them in there, right? And again, this is something that we're doing on the roof. It's really not too bad. Just a couple of tools required. Really, you can get away with a knife and MC4 crimper, and you're in good shape. And so that's a solid one. Cool.
Great. You still do this?
I actually like the method that I just did with pulling the knife just down it. As long as you're in between the two wires, you should be in reasonably good shape, because this seems to cut in too deep. I even scored with, you're cutting towards your fingers. Set it on the ground.
I always forget.
And cut exactly, cut that way.
You didn't file it down.
Oh, that one's not filed down?
So you still have the center one.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, that one must be new then.
You want to modify it?
Okay. Okay. You have 2 sets already, right?
One set.
Oh, you only have 1 set? That's alright. That blade's a little dull.
Text.
Yeah,
It's all done.
after you did it all, yeah, I
It's all
know. I got the shingles in the back of the truck and the wood in
Are
there.
we getting more of the cooler?
The what?
The cooler?
Oh yeah, he said there was a situation. He thinks the company went out of business. I don't know.
Oh.
So
I think it went in that time.
that's a really good product. I can't believe that they would go out of business. Did you get it?
Products over kind of that way, yeah.
Kind of. I'm still.
Press it down. Put it on the concrete. Hold it like that, and then press it down. You're gonna get more leverage on it.
Alright, thanks.
More power. There you go. Keep your fingers out of there. You need to cut yourself like I do.
Did you?
I end up cutting myself.
And that is why I always wear gloves.
Yeah, that's right. The one time I cut myself, I'm not wearing gloves. That's exactly what happened. There you go. Now you're in deep mess. Good.
Has to be in there now. Ow.
Got it. Good. Okay. And you can see how much was sticking out on this. You don't need too much to stick out. I think that's just perfect. You can use the knife to cut this off. You can use the scissors. You can use a stripper to cut it off. Whatever. That's good. Fine. Excellent. Oh, the stripper. Yeah, we do need the stripper, right? Yeah. Number 12. So it's going to be the last position on there.
Oh.
That's a pretty clean stripper. You should just be able to push and then pull it.
Oh, really?
Pull it right off. Yeah.
Oh, wow. A lot better than what I had. Oh, wait, I can't see that on camera.
Some strippers are better than others. I have a Klein like that. That's a nice one. I have a Klein like that one. It just doesn't work that well. And then I got a cheap one. It works great. So it's all relative. You remember what I did? Put it in here first.
Alright.
And use the top position. And put it in there so that the wings, here's the way it's got to go in there. This part, see how it's got a little heart in there? So the wings have to go upwards into that so that they curl over. So you got to put it in there like this.
Cool.
And then it clicks once, which is, this particular Rheinsteig one is a really high-end brand. It clicks once and then it's just staying there, and then you can just put your wire in there and then squeeze.
How expensive is this tool again?
I bought one at a trade show a couple of years ago. It's $200. They used to be like $700 when they came out years ago. Now they're probably $150, $200, something like that.
I think I got it.
As long as it goes in like that, and you squeeze it all the way down.
What if it's not like touching the outer layer?
You're going a little deeper. No, it's bottomed out here.
Oh.
Strip off, cut off a little bit of that right there. Maybe on both of them here. Well, have it. One strand left. Okay, cool. That should be fine.
No, it's still not.
It's still. Oh, there you go. That's good. That's fine now.
Okay.
These all the way. Tug test it.
Great.
And you might want to go like this too. It'll just make it easier to go in there. So, twist it like that.
Alright.
What you're doing right now, that's the mistake that people make, and that's why it's hard to do on the roof. If you stick it in the tool first, that's the key. Are you still recording?
Yes.
Good, okay. Yeah, good to see. Squeeze it all the way.
Great.
Beautiful. Awesome. Now stick it in the right way. That's the right. Wait. You got to put this on.
All right.
We actually should have put that on first, but it'll be okay. I think it'll go on.
Oh my god, it's gonna be so inconvenient to put it through now.
I think it'll work. You got it.
The mat strip part is
Pull
gonna block me.
pull the rubber thing out. You get it all in there. Oh yeah, I see. It's because of the insulation. It's hard to.
Yeah.
There you go. It's good. It's fine.
Ooh.
It's fine. Yeah, pull the whole thing back a little farther. No, don't do it that way. Pull the whole thing back so that that's sticking out like that. Yeah.
Oh.
Now don't put them it on yet. Yeah, there you go.
So,
Now let's see if we can hear it click. So put it in there. Let's see if we can hear it click this time.
so it
It should
doesn't
click.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
So it doesn't matter if it's red on black or black on red, right? Or do we have to match it?
Yeah, we do have to. That's actually a very important situation, and we need to pay attention to how we're doing it. And there's an easy way, and I'll show you how after you get that in there. Yeah, I heard it click. Did you hear it click?
One click?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it might have been the red one that clicked. I'm not sure though.
All right. Well, regardless, you can do the tug test just to make sure it doesn't come out. Do the tug test on both sides. Make sure the black one's in there all the way. And if
Okay.
for some reason you don't think it's in there all the way, you can just take the screwdriver and just push it in. I think they're both in there.
Great.
I think they're both in there fine. Okay. All right. Put that thing on. Yeah. Excellent. And that should click in. There you go. Very good. And then tighten that thing on in the back all the way. All right. Now, here's the secret. Okay. One side of this end phase wire has no writing, and the other side has writing on it. All right. As long as you've done your cut, okay, right here in the same side, and watch the writing. The writing on this side is, see how it's facing you and you can read it? As long as you take this thing and put it in the same way and it's facing you and you read it, bottom's black, bottom's red, top's black. So when I connect this together, I'm assured, because of the writing on the wire, that bottom is red and top is black. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I connect this together, you go ahead and do it, then it's going to be the correct connection. And there's really not polarity with alternating current. However, you're going to have red to red and black to black.
And it clicked again.
Did it click?
Oh, yep.
Good. And that's it. So that's a watertight connection. It's all good. You know, again, one array to the next. No junction box required. Really only takes a few minutes to do. It's actually, when you get proficient at this and you get proficient at using the the knife or stripper, whatever you're using, and of course the MC4 tool, this ends up being faster than dropping a junction box in. So it's a good method. I think we're happy with the approach and using it. So cool.
So from what I remember on installs, we would do one on one array and then one on the other.
You're gonna
array?
have to do exactly, yes.
Two of them? Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
Because really all you're doing is just extending the wire. I mean, that's all this does, is it just extends the wire. You send it through a piece of conduit, and it's, extending the wire from one array to the next without dropping a junction box.
And then the ground goes from here to there, and it connects to both sides.
It connects both sides to the, and of course we're grounding the conduit, and then it's going to connect to the rail to be that continuous ground throughout the entire system like it's supposed to be.
Okay. These were on here earlier. Do these matter or not?
This was just a
Okay.
sample situation earlier.
All right, cool.
You can use green, or you can use bare.
All right. Sounds good. Okay.